I remember when Back in Black came out, and that sounded like the heaviest thing I'd ever heard in my life, sonically.
Heaviness for me it's like down tuning could be.
When I think about heavy, it's more a musical expression. I guess it's some sort of sense of, heft and slowness to it, maybe.
I mean, there was a meme that went out a few years ago, which was just the gravitational force of a black hole, and then the gravitational force of one of Iommi's riffs. And I know which one's heavier.
There's like the weight and thickness and density of a really heavy metal mix, and then there's the performance side.
Heavy is a very literal description. I'm not talking about emotionally heavy, I'm talking about massive objects, the sound of massive objects.
You can have heaviness in classical music.
Look at frequency curve of a symphonical orchestra and a metal band, they are the same.
If you're into heavy metal music, heavier is always better.
Low end is a huge part of heaviness, and I think that's just something that happens in humans' heads as you say heavy.
And I think, a harmonically distorted guitar is not that far off, like violins and violas and that kind of stuff, and double bass when you think that really grindy kind of sound off the bow on the string, all that kind of stuff.
Musical styles have developed as technology has developed in a way that people realize that, we can do this super fast, super complex stuff because now it's actually possible to do that.
Things start to sound a lot more like mechanical and less like a vibey band.
What are the components that when you're mixing deliver heaviness to the listener?
The drums are very much about the precision in terms of metal, in certain modern metal. The drums don't necessarily carry that low end.
To get a heavier feel, you've probably got to slow it down, and you've probably got to give yourself space.
A very ambient like drum sound for a band like Hammerfall is great, but if you have that stuff on, let's say, Dimmu Borgir, it's not going to work.
Something that for me gives me a sense of heaviness is tightness in performances. At least in the modern sense of like this kind of more mechanical, industrial type, military-esque, warlike heaviness.
I would say that every time I mix an album, it gets a little better sounding than if I just mix one song, if that makes sense. Because you take that first song and use some of those elements as a starting point for the next one.
And what I'm doing is I'm adding this 4 dB sort of very wide 100 hertz just for the first 4, because inside the track, there's no way in hell they can have that much low end.
There's this move that I love doing on additional production stuff, which is a mid-only cut around the kind of 300 to 500 area, somewhere in there.
I was excited just to try and dial in a tone that I thought worked with the riffs and just the playing and the pick attack and everything.
If I was recording it, I'd have 4 microphones. So what do I need to get those choices that I wanted from a mix point of view?
Other people do like side chains, compression and stuff like that, but this works great.
If I take it off, the snare drum's just too loud by 3 dB. But by having it work like this, where the snare is too loud and I'm ducking it, it's ducking the whole mix at that point. So the snare is cutting through as though it was really loud, but actually it's not as much of a jump on your ears.